Reports are blowing up that $AP Rocky could be us trouble, and some are even saying he might be facing time away for a long stretch. The whole situation is being linked to Rihanna's latest lingerie photos with claims that Rocky wasn't happy. And now more stories about controlling behavior in their relationship are also starting to surface. But with so many different versions of the story going around, the real question is, what actually happened here? On April 23, 2026, posted a series of photos on Instagram that immediately set the internet on fire. She shared the photos with the caption, "Savage Summer Loading." The Savage X Fenty Mon Amour drop is live now at savagex.com. The post garnered over 3 million likes, 36k comments, and 64k reposts. These were not subtle, safe-for-work corporate headshots. The singer, songwriter, and beauty mogul shared a series of racy images, modeling a new Savage X Fenty wardrobe set, draping herself across a sofa in a vivid floral bra, thong, and garter ensemble that set social feeds on fire. The Mon Amour collection was Rihanna at her most uninhibited. The Mon Amour collection embraces a romantic yet bold aesthetic, featuring floral printed lingerie pieces that balance softness with confidence. The red and floral are sexy and provocative and channel vintage pin-up glamour with Rihanna's edge. And this happened just a few months after Rihanna had given birth to the couple's third child. Music, a few months from the birth of her third daughter, Rocky Iris Myers, music, the singer posed for the Mon Amour collection. The timing alone turned heads. Here's a woman who just had a baby, and she's out here in lingerie looking like she never left the runway. Fans were shocked to see Rihanna's latest photo shoot. "I dropped my phone. Music, we need a warning for this much heat. Mama," a person wrote, "now, here's where the noise really started." People immediately began asking the obvious question, how does AP Rocky feel about this? His partner, the mother of his 3 children, is sprawled across a couch in lingerie for millions of people to see. And for a man who had just gone through one of the most publicized assault trials in recent hip-hop history, the internet was ready to believe the worst. Because here's the thing. Rocky had in fact been sentenced for assault, not once, twice. And when you combine that with the idea that his woman just dropped the most provocative photos of her career, people started connecting dots that had no business being connected. The first assault happened in Sweden back in 2019. Rocky and 2 of his companions were involved in a street fight in Stockholm. Rocky and 2 of his companions, performers Vladimir Cornell and David Whispers, were accused of beating 19-year-old Mustafa Jafari during a street fight on June 30 in Stockholm, where the rapper was visiting as part of the European leg of his tour. Music, that case became an international incident. Repeatedly called for the rapper's freedom and lashed out at Sweden's Prime Minister on Twitter. After the rapper was charged, the court found all 3 defendants guilty. All 3 defendants are convicted of assault and sentenced to conditional sentences. The court finds that the defendants were not in a situation where they were entitled to self-defense, and that they have assaulted the victim by hitting and kicking him. Mayer was convicted of assault, given a suspended prison sentence, and asked to pay $12,500 KRW, $1,270 in damages to the victim. Rocky served time in a Swedish jail before the trial even began, as Mayers had already served over a month in jail for the incident. Before the sentence was handed out, it was determined that he did not need to serve any additional time, but the conviction stood. It's on the record. AP Rocky was found guilty of assault and music. His second case, the one in Los Angeles, the one that nearly took everything away from him. The second assault case was a different beast entirely. Music, this wasn't a street brawl with a stranger overseas. This was a fracture within Rocky's own circle, the AP mob, active he'd built his entire identity around. Since high school in Harlem on April 20, 2022, Mayer was arrested by lapped officers. Music, upon arriving at the Los Angeles International Airport after a vacation with his partner Rihanna, he was arrested for a potential assault with a deadly weapon in a shooting that took place in Hollywood on November 6, 2021. The alleged victim was no stranger. The shooting victim, who survived the incident with only a graze to his knuckle, was reported to be former friend and collaborator Terrell Efron, better known as A$AP Ray. The two men had known each other since they were teenagers. Terrell Efron testified that he and Rocky, members of AP, a crew of creators at a New York high school, had been close, but their relationship eroded after fame came for Rocky. The AP mob was a brotherhood, a collective of rappers, producers, designers, and creatives from Harlem, who rose together. But as Rocky's star ascended into the stratosphere, cracks in music began to form in the foundation. Efron, known as A$AP Ray, said their relationship had been strained for years and was getting worse in the days leading up to the incident. And on the night of November 6, 2021, that strained relationship reached a catastrophic breaking point near the W Hotel in Hollywood. According to prosecutors, during the 4-week trial that started January 24, Efron claimed Mares lured him to an armed ambush across the street from the W Hollywood Hotel on November 6, 2021. Flanked by 2 other members of the men's creative collective A$AP Mob. Efron said Mares grabbed him first outside a garage, pulled out a gun, threatened to kill him, walked around the block, pulled the gun out again, and fired 2 shots, grazing him with a 9mm on his left hand. The testimony from the AP rally on the witness stand was gripping, theatrical, and at times chaotic. He described the moment Rocky allegedly turned on the weapon. "So, I see Rocky turn around. And when he turned around, he was as like," Efron said as he mimicked the gesture he said Rocky made with the music of gun, raising his arm into the air while pointing his fingers downward. "Kind of looked like a movie. The whole thing looked like a movie." Efron testified he was left with bullet graze wounds just above his knuckles, which he later sought medical treatment for. "When he shot the first shot, I felt my hand hot." He told jurors from the witness stand Rocky was charged with 2 felony music counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Rocky, whose legal name is Rakeem Music Myers, had faced up to 24 years in prison if convicted of all charges. 24 years. For a man with 3 children and a partner, who happens to be one of the most famous women on the planet, the stakes were astronomical. The music defense told a fundamentally different story. Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, said in his closing argument that Ray is an angry, pathological liar who committed perjury again and again and again, and music again. The defense painted Ray as a jealous former friend who couldn't handle being left behind as Rocky's career soared. The defense argued that Efron, who goes by the name A$AP Ray, was envious of the hip-hop star and had assaulted him twice on the night of the shooting. And then came the bombshell defense claim. Mares, 36, claims the firearm in his hand that night was a prop gun, only capable of firing blanks. A$AP Rocky's tour manager, Lou Levin, became the second witness from Rocky's inner music circle to testify that he carried the phony gun. Levin said he told the rapper it made sense to carry it after Rocky's house had been broken into by a stalker and others' security, and I thought it would be a good idea because of the prior violence. Levin said it's just a non-lethal form of self-defense. Levin said he got the gun from a video shoot in the summer music of 2021, about 3 months before the incident that led to the charges. During cross-examination, Efron grew increasingly frustrated with defense lawyer Joe Tacopina's questions about Efron's alleged efforts before the shooting to present a lavish lifestyle. Although his bank records suggested Efron had less than $1,000 at T, Efron kept asking Tacopina what he was getting at and refused to answer yes or no. The trial stretched for nearly a month. Rihanna sat in that courtroom on multiple occasions, watching the man she shares her life with fight for his freedom. On February 18, 2025, after 3 weeks of testimony, evidence, arguments, and counter-arguments, the jury finally had the case. After a 3-week trial, the jury deliberated for just 3 hours to reach the verdict that spared Rocky, whose legal name is Rake Mayers, a prison sentence that could have run more than 2 decades, 3 hours after everything. The accusations, the witnesses, the drama. The jury needed just 3 hours to decide. And when the verdict came, the courtroom became something out of a movie itself. A$AP Rocky dived from the defense table into the arms of Rihanna. As a clerk read the not guilty verdict at his trial on 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, the Los Angeles courtroom full of fans of the hip-hop performer and his singing superstar partner exploded into screaming glee as Rocky and Rihanna embraced and sobbed. "Thank you all for saving my life," the rapper told the jurors as they left the Los Angeles courtroom. Music, his attorney was equally emphatic. "We said from day one he was innocent. He turned down a plea for almost no jail time because he was innocent," Joe Tacopina told reporters outside the Clara Short Ridge Folks Criminal Justice Center. At the start of the trial, he had rejected a plea deal that carried a sentence of 180 days in jail. Think about that for a second. He could have taken 6 months, served his time quietly, and moved on. But Rocky gambled on his innocence, risked 24 years, and won. Even the prosecution acknowledged the system had spoken. While today's verdict is not the outcome we sought, we respect the jury's decision and the integrity of our justice system. LA County District Attorney Nathan Hopman said in his statement, "The acquittal was a turning point." The verdict came at the height of Rocky's fame, if not the pinnacle of his music career. The 3-time Grammy nominee, fashion mogul, and actor has a banner year in the works and can now look to it without the threat of prison hanging over him. He is scheduled to headline the Rolling Loud Music in March. He is one of the celebrity co-chairs of fashion's biggest night, the Met Gala, in May, and he stars with Denzel Washington in director Spike Lee's film Highest to Music Lowest. But here's what the internet seems to forget, or conveniently ignores. Music Rocky was found not guilty in the LA case. He was convicted in Sweden years earlier, served time, music, and paid his fine. The LA case, the one that carried the real weight, ended in a full acquittal. So when you see a headline that says A$AP Rocky was sentenced for assault after music, attacking Rihanna over her lingerie photos, you need to understand which parts of that sentence are music true and which parts are stitched together to get clicks. With the trial behind him, Rocky channeled everything into the next chapter. Music, Don't Be Dumb, is the 4th studio album by the American rapper. It was released on January 16, 2026, through AllGap Worldwide and RCA Records. Music, it is Rocky's first album in almost 8 years since testing positive in 2018. 8 years in the life of a rapper. That's an eternity. Careers are born, peak, and die in 8 years. But Rocky didn't disappear. Music was building. He embraced acting, taking on roles in 2025, from highest to lowest. Music, and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Co-chaired the 2025 Met Gala, and meanwhile, Music became half of pop culture's coolest power couple, starting a family with his partner Rihanna. The album landed with force. Commercially, Dumb topped the Billboard 200, becoming Rocky's first #1 debut in over a decade. Its streaming equivalent units comprised a significant portion of its sales, driven by a strong performance across major platforms, including a record 35. 4 Music, on first day streams on Spotify. The largest album streaming debut of 2026 to that point, and the content of the album made something crystal clear. A$AP Rocky is not the possessive, volatile partner the internet wants him to be. 2 unashamed love songs Stay Here, 4 Music, Life with Brent Faz and Playa, outlining his happiness with monogamy, and bright future with Rihanna and their 3 kids. On Stay Here for Life, Rocky explicitly addresses those who wanted him to remain a bachelor. Music, This is just a quick one for you dumb, narrow-minded __s out there. I am not a player, he declares in the outro music, making it unmistakably clear where he stands. Rihanna was right there beside him through all of it. Rihanna joined longtime partner A$AP Rocky at the release party for his new album, Don't Be Dumb, on Thursday night in New York City. She celebrated his success publicly. The work singer also sent a PAP a sweet shout-out when the album hit #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. "Just me here to let y'all know my baby daddy got the #1 album," she wrote in a post on X. Then in February, Rocky launched his AWG Fall or Winter 2026 music collection at New York Fashion Week. The 37-year-old singer was photographed attending the show at Hall des Lumières in New York City. She sat in the front row, as she always does. "I'm always proud of my man," Rihanna said. "My guy's creative and a genius." Their relationship has withstood international legal crisis, felony trials, music constant media scrutiny, pregnancy rumors, cheating hoaxes, and now a literal shooting at their home. In early March, a gunman fired roughly 20 rounds at the family's Beverly Hills home. While Rihanna and AP Rocky, their 3 children, and Rihanna's mother were all inside. Bullets struck a trailer where the couple had been resting, a nursery wall, and a neighboring property. No one was injured, but the incident shook both the couple's inner music circle and their wider fan base. The suspect was identified as Ivana Ortiz, a 35-year-old woman from Florida. She was charged with 14 felonies, including attempted murder. Prosecutors charged 35-year-old Ivana Ortiz with 10 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm and 3 counts of shooting at an inhabited dwelling or camper. A bullet hole was also found on the exterior wall of the home's second-floor nursery, where the couple's 3 children and a nanny were when the shooting happened just weeks after surviving literal gunfire at their home. Bullets, music that came within feet of their children's nursery, and then weathering fabricated cheating rumors that went viral. A satirical post claiming AAP Rocky cheated on Rihanna racked up millions of views and hours. Rihanna went ahead and dropped her Savage X Fenty Mon Amour campaign, because that is who she is. So, let's put it all together. Here's what actually happened. AAP Rocky was sentenced for assault in Sweden in 2019 for a street fight with a stranger. He served time, paid damages, and moved on. He was also charged with assault with a semi-automatic firearm in Los Angeles in Music, 2022 for an incident involving a former friend. That case went to trial in early 2025 Music, and he was found not guilty on all counts. Rapper AP Rocky was found not guilty on 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, after he was accused of shooting at his on-time friend and bandmate following a heated argument in Music 2021. Now, did he attack Rihanna over her lingerie photos? No, not even close. Music and the notion that he did is not just misleading, it's fabricated from thin air. When an AP Rocky was asked directly about Rihanna posing for Savage X Fenty, his response was 5 words. "Her body, her choice, that's not music for me to control." 5 words. No hesitation, no jealousy, just a man fully secure in his partner and her power. The moment Music quickly spread across social media with fans celebrating Rocky's response, as a rare example of a high-profile partner letting a woman own her narrative without interference or ego. This is the same man who raps love songs about Rihanna on his album, who turns down plea deals because he knows he's innocent, who shows up to Fashion Week with his partner on his arm, and whose biggest public statement about her lingerie photos was essentially good for her. The two have built one of the most talked about relationships in entertainment, not because of drama, but because of how effortlessly they seem to move together. They share 3 children, sons RZA and Riot Rose, and their daughter Rocky, born in 2025. Neither shrinks for the other, and that balance appears to be exactly what makes them work. Music, the title of this video combines 3 separate facts. Rocky's past assault conviction, Rihanna's lingerie photos, and the word attacking, and welds them together into a narrative that music never happened. Rocky was sentenced for assault. That's true. Rihanna posted lingerie photos. That's also true. But those two events have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And at no point did Rocky attack Rihanna over anything. In a world where a single satirical tweet can generate millions of views and convince thousands of people that a relationship is falling apart, the truth is less sensational, but far more important. The post originated music from an account on X called Hoops Crave, which has a documented history of publishing satirical and deliberately misleading music content. It was not a news outlet. And yet, the rumor spread across platforms quickly. Some posts featuring fabricated screenshots of Rihanna supposedly responding to the allegations drew over 1.7 million views. The real story here is not that Rocky went crazy after Rihanna's lingerie photos. The real story is that a man who was convicted of assault in Sweden, acquitted of assault in Los Angeles, survived a shooting at his own home, endured viral hoaxes about his relationship, and watched his partner become the target of an attempted murder. Responded to her lingerie photos by saying, "Her body, her choice." That's not a man who attacks.